Precisely 6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation news edited by Danushka Madhavala and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. The nation marks the 13th anniversary of the National War Heroes Day today. LP gas distribution will commence from today. Steps have been taken to strengthen security of parliamentarians. CID arrests MPs Sanath Nishanta and Milan Jayatilaka. The SLBC has requested the public not to queue up for petrol today unless essential, as supplies will be limited. And on news overseas, Ukraine says they are doing everything to save remaining fighters in Mariupol. We move on to local news in detail now. Today marks 13 years since the defeat of the 3-decade-long war against the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. The LTTE leader Velupillai Prabhaharan was killed on the 18th of May 2009 in the operation carried out at Vellamulli Vaikal. The operation to defeat the LTTE began in August 2006 with the recapture of the Mavilaru waterway. The Litro Gas Company says that payments have been made for the 2 shipments of LP gas. Unloading of gas from the ship carrying 2,800 metric tons of LP gas scheduled to commence last night. He added that starting from today, around 80,000 cylinders of LP gas will be distributed per day across the island. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation says the petrol supplies will be limited today. Hence, the general public is requested not to queue up for petrol today unless essential. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation added the petrol distribution process will resume tomorrow as usual. Meanwhile, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation says there are adequate stocks of diesel with the corporation at present. About 4 ships carrying petrol and diesel will arrive to the country within the next 2 weeks' time. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news. We continue with more stories here at home. The Criminal Investigation Department arrested SLPP MP Sanath Nishanta and Milan Jayatilaka last evening in connection with the attack on the anti-government protest sites in Colombo on the 9th of May. The Attorney General on Monday instructed the CID to arrest 22 suspects, including MPs Johnston Fernando, Milan Jayatilaka, Sanath Nishanta, Sanjeeva Edirimanna, and Senior DIG in charge of Western Province, Deshabandhu Tennakon, if sufficient evidence is available against them over the attack on anti-government protest sites in Colombo last week. If there is direct, circumstantial, and technical evidence against the 22 suspects, they should be arrested as soon as possible, the Attorney General's Department had further said. Steps have been taken to strengthen security of parliamentarians and their residences following a request made by the party leaders. Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardena told Parliament that Defence Secretary and Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security were directed to order the IGP to take necessary action to initiate a special security plan. The police was also instructed to provide additional security to the MPs and their residences. The Speaker also said party leaders had informed the Speaker that their lives were at risk on their way to Parliament to attend sessions and getting back home. That's local news for the moment.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The issuance of passports under normal and one-day services resumed with effect from yesterday. However, the Department of Immigration and Immigration says that it is compulsory to make an appointment to obtain these services. The public is therefore requested to use the website www.immigration.gov.lk or contact 0707 101 060 for the purpose. The Controller General of Immigration and Immigration said as the daily issuing capacity of passports of the department is approximately 2,000 passports, and the public are kindly requested to avoid inconvenience caused by visiting the department without making an appointment.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
The conduct of tuition classes, lectures and seminars for the 2021 GCE Ordinary Level Examination is now banned. The Commissioner General of Examinations said an individual found to be violating this regulation will be dealt with under provisions of the Exams Act. Meanwhile, the public has been requested to report any violations to the nearest police station or by contacting the Examinations Department. The 2021 GCE Ordinary Level Examination will get underway on the 23rd of May and will draw to an end on the 1st of June.
Coming up, World News.
World News headlines. Ukraine says they are doing everything to save remaining fighters in Mariupol. Biden rebukes poison of white supremacy in Buffalo shooting. Lebanon's pro-Hezbollah bloc loses parliamentary majority. World News in detail. Ukraine is doing everything possible and impossible to save the remaining fighters trapped in Mariupol's Azovstal steelworks, a senior official has said. Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar has said Kiev knew how many soldiers were still at the plant, but stressed that it was sensitive information. On Monday, 264 fighters, many badly wounded, were evacuated to areas held by Russian-backed rebels. On Tuesday, another 7 buses were seen leaving the site, Reuters said. It said, and rather added, that the convoy later arrived in Olenivka, a village held by pro-Russian rebels in the eastern Donbas region. U.S. President Joe Biden has condemned white supremacy as a poison running through our body politic during a visit to Buffalo, New York. 10 black people were killed at a supermarket in the city on Saturday in what is believed to be a racially motivated hate crime. The suspect, 18, identified himself as a fascist and white nationalist in a document posted online. Mr. Biden on Tuesday said the young man belonged to a hateful minority. Finally, on World News, Iran-backed Hezbollah and its allies have lost their majority in Lebanon's parliament after the country's general election results were announced. The Shia party's allies suffered losses across the country, according to results released by the Interior Ministry on Tuesday. The pro-Hezbollah bloc secured 58 seats, fewer than the 65 seats needed to secure a majority, and down from 71 in the previous parliament. The Free Patriotic Movement, a Hezbollah ally, is no longer the country's largest Christian parliamentary bloc, winning 18 seats in Sunday's elections compared with 20 for its United States and Saudi Arabia-backed rival, the Lebanese forces. That's World News. Moving on to development news. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says Asian Development Bank and World Bank have extended their support for urgent financing effort. The representatives of the two banks held talks with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe recently. The talks were fruitful, the PM's office said.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Liverpool have taken the Premier League title race down to the final day of the season by coming from behind to win at Southampton. Jurgen Klopp's side knew defeat would hand the title to Manchester City, while even a draw would effectively end the challenge because of their inferior goal difference. And it looked as if Liverpool might have a struggle on their hands when Nathan Redmond gave Southampton a 13th minute lead with a curling right foot shot beyond Alisson.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The central bank expects the recently introduced middle spot exchange rate to strengthen the rupee exchange rate and to ease the liquidity pressures in the domestic foreign exchange market. With effect from May 13th, the CB introduced a middle rate based on the weighted average spot exchange rate of the USD and LKR interbank transactions with a variation margin on either side of the middle spot exchange rate for the licensed banks. The central bank said this measure, among others, is expected to help strengthen the exchange rate, thereby easing liquidity pressures in the domestic foreign exchange market in the period ahead.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
And on economic news, dealers said Sri Lanka's main stocks closed firmer, gaining 4.4% yesterday to hit a 6-week high due to hopes of political stability in the crisis-hit nation. After violent clashes, though concerns remained over the economic crisis. A top market analyst said that the market is moving on the positives as there is some sign of political stability. But this momentum will not last for long as interest rates in the market are already high.
The weather report.
And on the weather update, southwestern monsoon condition is gradually establishing over the island. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamuwa, central, northwestern and southern provinces. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters can occur at some places in Sabaragamuwa province and in Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Several spells of showers will occur in northern province and in Anuradhapura district. Strong winds about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slope of the central hills, northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. That's the weather update, and before we wind up this bulletin of news, back to the headlines. The nation marks the 13th anniversary of the National War Heroes Day today. LP gas distribution will commence from today. Steps have been taken to strengthen security of parliamentarians. CID arrests MPs Sanat Nishantha and Milan Jayatilaka. The CBC has requested the public not to queue up for petrol today unless essential, as supplies will be limited. And on news overseas, Ukraine says they are doing everything to save remaining fighters in Mariupol. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news.